Hi dancers. Today's project is to learn the Shim Sham Shimmy. We're going to begin with step 1, known as the double shuffle. And actually, when I teach this in class, I'm going to make sure that my students see the word double shuffle to help reinforce what I'm saying. So double shuffle. Double means how many? 2, and of course. So somewhere in this step is going to be 2 shuffles. All right, let's look at the technique we need to be able to do a shuffle. Our foot needs to be released from the floor because we need the whole foot to brush. Our ankle needs to be relaxed, not tight, so we're not flexing or pointing. And if our foot's released and relaxed, then we are ready to brush. Here we go. And the second part is lifting it. All right, that's a shuffle. Let's try that shuffle again. One more time. Shuffle. Great. We're going to combine a shuffle with a step. And the step in this case is going to be just a step. Just think about marching. The step is a single sound, so be careful to not let that heel drop. We want to have one sound, and you can make that one sound by stepping onto the ball of the foot and resting the heel. You're going to hear me say rest and relax a lot, because if our joints are relaxed and resting, then they won't make extra sounds that we don't want to hear. So we're going to begin with a shuffle step, and then a second shuffle step, and then shuffle step, step, shuffle step. So the pattern is shuffle step, shuffle step, shuffle step, step, shuffle step. And I hope you're clapping along with me. I'm going to say that phrase again. Shuffle step, shuffle step, shuffle step, step, shuffle step. Great, let's try it. I'm going to do shuffle step, shuffle step, shuffle step. And then you can see I'm on the other foot. So I'm going to turn around so you can see me from the back. And I'm going to do this 3 times. And I want you to notice that at the end of the third one, I'm not going to step. I'm going to just, because I need that foot again. All right, let's try it together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Shuffle step, shuffle step, and just like I said, that foot is just going to touch at the end there because we need that foot. All right, are we ready to try that again? Let's try it again. All right, and this time let's think about what the counts are. And I'm going to also give you a little hint by watching and looking at a sheet of paper that's going to tell you what the counts are. Here we go. Here is the Shim Sham. Step 1. And what's the rhythm? 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. You see we have a mixture of 1/8 notes and quarter notes. And this is the rhythm we're just clapping. Let's say it again. 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And then you notice the break is coming up right now. And the rhythm of the break is, before we even clap it, let's look at what the notes are. 4, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put that on the board so we can refer to it later. Let's clap the break. 4, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. All right? I would have my students play that rhythm maybe with their heels first. 4, 1, 2, 3 and, or maybe marching. Just to understand and just to reinforce what the rhythm of that step is. All right, so this is known as the Shim Sham break, and let me demonstrate it to you from the front, and then I'll turn around. It begins with what we call a stamp. That's a full flat foot that takes weight. I'm going to go stamp, then tip, no weight, step, and then I'm going to hop, hop, step, and hop again, hop, step, and then I'm going to jump out and in, out, and in. That's one variation. Let me do it without stopping. I'll do a turning around in the back. So you can watch me and copy me from the back. Here's the break. Great. All right. So that is the traditional break that follows the traditional double shuffle. Let's put the double shuffle and the break together, and then we're going to talk about modifying it for different levels. Let's do it together. Remember what count we come in on? 4. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 1 did you remember to touch at the end of that third phrase? I hope so. No weight on that touch because you need to get into the break on the right foot with a flat sound. All right, now let's talk about how we might introduce this choreography to dancers that don't have experience doing shuffles or breaks. So whether maybe you're a beginner and you're just trying tap for the first time, or maybe you have students who are beginners. Let's look at a very simple idea, simple way to do the Shim Sham. I'm just going to kind of slosh my feet, kind of shuffling them along. This really dates back to jigging days in the 1800s, where we were dancing, combining different rhythms and different traditions. All right, so it was really kind of close to the ground. Let's try it like that. So we're going to go in, in, and do it again. In, just kind of pushing that thing. Push and pull, and then touch. The break again. This time let's do heels instead of hops. And let's walk it out instead of jumping. Maybe you have dancers that don't want to hop. Let's do the break without the hopping. Let's do the whole thing. Nice and simple, no shuffles, no double sound, a nice single slide. Slide it in, slide it in, slide it in, and do it again. Here's the double. Now the break. Awesome. All right, let's do a third variation of the first step. Involves a stomp and a spank. A stomp, we did a flat foot already, but this flat foot has no weight. So this is a stomp, spank, all right, and we're putting our weight there. So instead of a shuffle step, we're doing a stomp step. Otherwise, it follows the same pattern as the traditional double shuffle. Let me do it from the side here so you can see the stomp and pull where I'm not transferring my weight. I'm not going there. I'm sitting nice and tall, standing down straight into the earth. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Stop. Ready to the top. Top. Here we go with that break again. Let me turn to the front so you can follow me from the back. And this would be for the more advanced dancer that knows how to stomp and spank. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I noticed when I was doing it there that I kind of swung one of those stomps before. So the Shim Sham Shimmy can be done straight or swinging. The notes that I have for you indicate a straight phrase. 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. If we were to swing this, we'd go 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3. You see there's a different feel to it when there's a swing in there. We're keeping it straight for now, but I certainly invite you to explore doing it to music that makes you want to swing. Shika-da, 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 da-da, da-da, versus da-da-da, 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 da-da-da-da. Let's go back and let's do the first phrase that I showed you, the traditional double shuffle with the break, and let's do the break with the jump this time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And you notice that time I kind of scattered a little bit. Let's try it again, and this time I'm going to say the words of the step in time to the rhythm. So I'm going to go shuffle step, shuffle step, shuffle step, shuffle step, shuffle step, shuffle step, double shuffle, double step, shuffle step, shuffle step, double shuffle, shuffle, touch them, break, ba, ga, ga, ga. I like to say, so let's keep dancing and have some fun. Let's try the break to that phrase. What's the phrase again? So let's keep dancing and have some fun. Dancing and have some fun. All right, let's try that moving it together. Singing and saying the words. 2, 1, 2, 3. Great. So there's a variety of ways you can reinforce the rhythm, reinforce the footwork, reinforce the counts, by using your language, by singing the song, by clapping the rhythms, by showing your dancers what the rhythm is and what the words are. Having this as a visual cue will help to reinforce the lessons that we're teaching them about the Shim Sham Shimmy. Thank you. This is step 1. Hi dancers. Today we're going to study the push and cross step. That's step 2 of the Shim Sham Shimmy. It includes some crossing, so it's not unusual in tap that we have cross steps. The BS chorus has a cross step, and the tapping, and right now the push and cross step has a cross step. So the cross step looks like this. So that might be a nice way to start your lesson. Just doing step, heel cross, heel step. Let's go the other way. Right, and you notice I'm stepping on the ball of my foot, and then the heel brings me across, and then I finish the heel with a step so I can reverse it. Right? So that's part of the push and cross step. Beginning of the push and cross step is a stamp. We looked at a stamp in the first step of the Shim Sham when we did the break. Same rule applies here. A stamp is a flat foot sound, and it takes weight. So here's our first step. Remember in the break of the Shim Sham we did this is going to be a flat step and then coming back to a step in the ball of the foot. So I'm going to go push, step, and then I'm doing that cross step we already looked at. Step, cross step, push, step. Now I'm ready to do the other foot. Push, step, step, cross step, step. Third time. Push, step, step, heel, cross, heel, step. And the break is step, heel, cross, heel, step. Again. And then we're going to finish it so we're ready for the next idea. All right, so there's no weight on that last idea. So this step begins with a stamp, weight, and ends with a stomp, no weight. Let's review what the rhythm is. And again, here's my words, so my students all know what I'm talking about. They can see the word to help reinforce the understanding. Push and cross. And the phrase is, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3. And remember what the break was? 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1 and 3, and then tagging on the very end and 4. And I don't have the 4 in there. You'll see the 4 in the next sheet for our next step. I'm going to post this on the wall right underneath our first step so my students can again look at the rhythm to reinforce what we're clapping, what we're singing. There are many variations of this push and cross step. I know that some people do heel, heel. Other people do step, cross step. Instead of step, heel step, heel step. So neither of those variations really changes what the rhythm is. Let me turn around and let's do the step again. And you're invited to do a step, heel or a step, step. You're invited to do a step, heel step, heel step, or a step, cross step, step. Okay? Whichever one suits your body type or your knees maybe want to heel today instead of hop. Whatever your choice. Let me turn around and do the push and cross step in the traditional way that I learned it, which I believe is attributed to the copacetic version. So let's see the push and cross step. Comes in on the count of 4, remember. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. that and stomp at the end because you need that right foot ready for what comes next. There is another version of this step that Leonard Reed introduced to us when he moved to California. Until then, I think we probably were doing this version based on the video footage that I've looked at, but he introduced us to another way to do it, and so it's the more the better, right? So this other way comes in on the count of 1, and we clap on 8. So if we just finish the first step, and we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, he would clap on 8, and then starts the push on the count of 1. So I didn't give you the notes for the 1 version because I don't want to confuse you, but I don't want you also to be confused by seeing this version and saying, I never saw that. How did that happen? So here is the version that Leonard brought to us, and it's primarily done on the West Coast, but I know that people all over the world are also doing it. So let's try it. Again, we're clapping on the count of 8 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we go into the 1, 2, 3, 4, step, scuff, till step, scuff. So you saw that scuff there. 1, 2, 3, 4, step, scuff, till step, scuff. Third time. 1, 2, 3, 4, step, scuff, till step, scuff, step, scuff, till step, step, scuff, till step, change. And you're going to end that with a change instead of the okay? Let me turn around and do that. The Leonard's alternate variation for step 2. And again, that has that scuff. So a scuff is just a light swing of the heel. We looked earlier at that relaxation necessary to do a shuffle, the relaxation in the ankle, and we still have a really relaxed ankle. We just swing it and we let the heel swing and hit the floor. Nice and lightly, nothing heavy. All right, let's look at the second step. And again, this is the second variation brought to you by Leonard Reed. Here we go. Clapping on. Let's take it from the break of the first step. The break comes in on 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, ending with that stamp, stamp, ball change. All right, let's connect that now to the first step. And I'm going to go back and do the other version, the original version I showed you, coming on the count of 4. But whichever version you decide to study is fine, as long as it has that push and that cross in it. Because certainly there probably are other variations as well as this one. All right, let's do step 1 and step 2, starting with the, what do we call step 1 again? The double shuffle. And remember the rhythm? 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. All right, let's do it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Step 2, the push and cross. Hi. So today's lesson is going to be on the tack Annie. And if you read some of the literature, you know that there's some interesting stories about tack Annie. Most agree that Annie was a real person and that at some point her boyfriend was on the stage and said, hey Annie, this step might be a little tacky, but I'm going to do it for you. And thus came the word the tack Annie. I've also read a story where someone said that Annie was a bouncer at a bar and she was trying to stop the police from coming in and pulling them and pulling them, pulling them and pulling them. Right? So there's a lot of physicality in the tack Annie, and you'll see me doing a push and pull with my body. Right? There's also shimmying going on. So there's a lot of movement ideas that are in the Shim Sham Shimmy and definitely come out in this third step of the Shim Sham, the tack Annie. So the tachyony includes a skill that we haven't quite talked about. It was evident in the first step when we did the stop step, right? So the tachyony has a step, ball change. All right, and some of you who might know soft shoe know that this is the back essence. We can do back essence. So we have that feel of that. 1, 2, 3, and on the fourth one, put down. So you can do a ball change. You're shifting your weight. So no weight, no weight, no weight, and then weight. Let me do it facing the front. And remember, we ended the first step with either a stomp, or if you did Leonard's variation, a step. All right, both make our right foot available to now pull. So the foot goes behind us, and close 1, step, 2, step, 3, step, back with weight, ball change. Let's try it again. 2, 3, step. Let's do it a third time. 1, 2, 3. Right. Only on the third time, we're not going to do that ball change. So for practice, we're just doing it. But the third part does not ball change. We have 2 variations. On the third step, we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, walk, then go into the Shim Sham grip. Right? So you saw that. That was a walk out of the third phrase. So let's do the tachyony again. And on the third phrase, notice I'm just going to touch the count as it comes in, and then I'm going to walk into the break. So here we go. The tachyony. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4. Okay, that's one variation. All right, I've seen another variation done where you put your weight back and then you open into a step. So watch that. Starting right here. This is the third one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. So can you see that? I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with weight. I normally would do a ball change, but there's no ball change. At 7, I'm just going to step into the break. Step, 2. And again, that you can see becoming more improvisational with that break. The more I do it, the more you will do it too. Make it your own. So you saw 2 different ways to end the tachyony and to go into the break. I also want to talk about how we're going to begin the tachyony. Coming out of the second step, the push and cross, I suggested doing a step stomp. Let's just review that last break of the push and cross. Coming on the left, we did step, heel step, heel step, heel step, heel step, stop, so that's how I would stop. That's how I generally teach it, and that's how I generally do it. I want to introduce to you a variation that will accommodate your beginners, because that skin stop is a little tricky. So I'm going to stop on the count of 3. So watch here. Here's my break. On the left, step, heel step, heel step, step, heel step, and wait. And then I do a 1, 2, 3, going into the tachyony then. All right, so your more advanced students are going to be able to do step, heel step, heel step, step, heel step, heel step. Your beginners may have to do step, heel step, heel step, step, heel step, and wait. All right, so you can see there's a couple of variations on getting into that. Now, if you remember Leonard's version, Leonard was doing, right here, he did 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, break, and then we're ready. Okay, His step actually is more conducive to beginning that spank because your weight is rather than kind of holding back and having to use that right foot to stomp and then go right away, right? Again, giving you many options because not everybody's going to have the same skills level to be able to learn these steps, and maybe living in an area of the country where they do it a certain way and you want to make sure you're doing it the same way everybody else in your community is doing it. Let's try to put together steps 1, steps 2, and steps 3. But first let's make sure we're reinforcing the rhythm of the tagliani. Again, we're playing straight rhythms, and here you kind of have to be careful not to swing because you might want to go versus 1, 2, 3, 1, confuse some of you by counting all the way to 8, but as dancers and dance teachers, I know that many of you also are more familiar and comfortable with counting to 8. But here, let's look at our phrase of the tagliani. We just came in on the count of 4 and. Remember, we did 4, 1 and, 1 and, 4 and 1. So here it is. 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 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 4 and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. All right. See how that all worked? Let me put this up on the board. Joining our other rhythm phrases. And here's our word of the day, tap Annie. All right, let's do steps 1, 2, and 3 together. And I'm going to do it the first variation I showed you because that's the one that I generally teach and that I generally do when I'm in the group with other people. But again, make modifications as needed. But think about your technique. Think about using your whole body. Think about your hands. Think about singing a rhythm. Maybe you want to sing the counts. If you're not sure of those, maybe you want to just scat some silly phrases. Or maybe you want to say, let's keep on dancing and have some fun. All right. One phrase I usually use for the push and pass I'll share with you is, let's dance, let's dance, let's dance till we drop. Let's dance, let's dance, let's dance till we drop. Let's dance, let's dance, let's dance till we drop. Let's dance till we drop. Let's dance till we drop. Not yet. And I say, not yet, because what are we going to do? So I say, let's rest, let's rest, let's rest, let's rest, and then let's rest, let's rest, let's rest, let's rest, and then let's rest, let's rest, let's rest. No way, let's keep on dancing and have some fun. All right, so whatever you choose, sing a silly song like me, or sing the rhythm, or scat the phrase. Engage your voice, engage your eyes. Think about looking around at other people with you. Use your hands to help further reinforce what the rhythm phrase is. So let's take it from the beginning. Shuffle step, double shuffle. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Shuffle. Too fast, although the Shim Sham is generally done pretty quickly. But I'll tell you what, let's take it again. Now go nice and slow this time. Here we go. I know I did the fast before the slow. I should have done the slow first, but I hope that you can figure it out through my demonstrations and that you're getting more confident about the Shim Sham Shimmy. Now you know 3 steps. Hi dancers. Now it's time to learn step 4 of the Shim Sham Shimmy. And this time, instead of starting with the choreography and the footwork, let's start with the rhythm and what the name of it is. So this step is referred to as the half break. And I looked to see why it's called the half break, because the break in the Shim Sham is 8 counts, and a half break makes me consider the possibility of 4 counts. Well, the break in the 4th step isn't only 4 counts. It's the same break we always have, the 8 count one. So the only thing I can consider is that maybe it's called the half break because the beginning part of this 4th step is only 4 counts, or 1 bar. As you can see, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and then it just repeats, 4, 1, and 2, and 3. So maybe it's called the half break because the choreographic or movement ideas in this 4th step only constitute 1 bar of music, or 4 counts. All right, let's look at what the phrase is. So let's say it again. 4, 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3. In this case, we do this 1 time, and then we do the break. 4, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, which by now you really know that. Then we go back to the first line. 4, 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put this on the board with our other phrases, and then I'll clap the rhythm with you. And again, this is called the what? The half break. I also, in some of my research, saw people refer to it by calling it falling off a log. So falling off a log was an example of an eccentric step that was popular during vaudeville days, where the dance steps on the stage would mimic real life and what was happening outside, and whether it was doing trenches and over the tops that related to movements from World War I, or falling off a log. Maybe some of the dancers worked in the lumber industry. So falling off a log, consider a log on a river or some body of water, and you have to maintain your balance. You might jump forward, then you might have to jump back, and you might have to jump forward, then you might be going back and forth to maintain your balance on that log. All right, and there's many variations of that falling off a log, but that's one simple one that I generally share with my students. So I'm just doing a step, and we know that crossing over, we saw that before. All right, so the 4th step is not just that, but it does have that element in it, that crossing. And then it goes into a very traditional classic step called the waltz clog. Step, shuffle, ball change. Okay. Typically done 3-4 times. In this case, though, we have a step that's evening it out, and so that's in 4-4 times. So the 4th step of the Shim Sham Shimmy, the words are leap, step, shuffle, bow change. Leap, step, shuffle, bow change. And we have those 2 leap, shuffle, bow changes that mimic the waltz clog. So let's see it. Let's see how kind of mimicking the movements that somebody might do in the traditional eccentric step falling off a log. Here we go. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then I go into the break. You know the break. And then we do the falling off a log again. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So the 4 steps are really pretty simple. The waltz clog, I generally teach that to my 3rd grade children, 8-year-olds. They're doing leaps, nice shuffle ball changes. You notice I'm keeping it straight. 4, 1, and 2, and 3. 4, 1, and 2, and 3. And again, that certainly could be swung. 4, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. But we're not going to swing today. We're going to keep it nice and straight. So that's the 4th step of the Shim Sham Shimmy. I'm going to turn around so you can see it from the back. And then we'll connect it to the other steps. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2, 3. Shim Sham dance. So that's the fourth step of the Shim Sham. I'm going to go back to the beginning now, doing the variations I initially taught. Not Leonard's, and not the scuff one, and not the beginner version, but all the versions. Okay, let's do all the versions that I gave you. The first variation rather. We're going to do step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. All right. Before we do that, though, let's review the rhythms and clap the rhythm of the whole dance. Let's see if you can do that. So you might want to. I hope you can see the rhythms here. So let's play the dance. Let's play the dance on our hands. So if you had sticks, we could play the dance on our sticks, or we could clap it with our hands. All right. But I'm just going to clap for now. I'm going to go 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1 and 3, and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, break. 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Great. It's really important that you know what rhythm you want to be playing before you hit the floor with your tap shoes. All right, let's try it together. I'll take it nice and slow. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 4, Great. And you saw me kind of turn and pivot there at the end. Not unusual for people to throw a turn, run over the top, or some extra sounds into this classic dance. Been here almost 100 years. Okay, I have one last lesson to talk about, and that's talking about shave and a haircut, 2 bits. All right, that is a typical ending to a dance. Shoot, shoot, da, da, da. All right, it's kind of a flash step. So it means it could be very leggy, it could have lots of sounds in it. It might have big arm movements. I'm going to show you a simple version that all you students will be able to do. First rhythm, shave. Just jump. A haircut. 2 bits. Jump, jump. Okay? Let's do that together. Jump, ball change, step, lead, step. Ready, I do. Shave, haircut, 2 bits. So the end could be shave, haircut, and then you could do 2 bits. Right? And it could be an extra phrase right there. Shave, haircut, 2 bits. That's the one I like the best. Okay, so for more advanced dancers, they're going to do a double pullback or a cramp roll. Let me demonstrate the pullback. I'm still going to do shave, but I'm going to do 2 da, da, and then 2 bits. 2 bits. Okay, I can do it without stopping. Shave and haircut, 2 bits. So that's with the double pullback. Or you might just want to do a cramp roll. bum, da-da-da-dum, bum, bum. So where and how do we use this shave and a haircut? Because certainly the dance already has its breaks. So at the end of the fourth step, after we've done A, B, A, after count 3, instead of going into the break, you're going into shave and a haircut, 2 bits. Let's look at that. I'm just going to do the 3rd time we do it. So here's our waltz, here's our phone off the lock. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, bum, 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 bum. So I have a little pause after that before I jump. Okay, so some people might fill that pause with a flap or with some other movement idea. For us, we're just going to take a break right there and not do it. Jump into the shade after the last idea of the falling off the log. So, chorus 1, all 4 steps in a chorus, is just the way that we've been doing it. The second chorus is called the freeze chorus. And we freeze, in other words, we really don't move on the breaks. Alright, so let me do the freeze chorus right now for you. Going back to the first step. And then I'm going to up the tempo a little bit now. Okay, so hopefully you're going to be able to follow along, but slow it down if you need to. Here we go with the freeze chorus. 1, 2, 3. You saw how I froze step 1, 2, and 4, and then just a small pause at the end so I can start the shave and the haircut. 1 and a 2 and 4. 1 and a 2 and, depending on how many sounds you want to put in there, could be a lot of sounds. 1 and a 2 and if you're putting in all those pullbacks. So that's the Shim Sham. Again, first chorus traditionally done just straight the way I showed you. Second chorus, freeze the breaks and end with shave and haircut. So since then, Leonard has made more variations called Revenge of the Shim Sham. And I invite you to go on YouTube or go on to his site and purchase a copy of that so you can learn how to do that variation. And as I mentioned elsewhere in this course, there are other variations as well that are certainly available to you. Not only that, but you can make your own Shim Sham. It's a simple structure, simple 4-step dance, 1 chorus, and I know it's just brought joy to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dancers around the world. And I hope it brings that kind of pleasure to you and to your students as well. Thank you.